Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and welcome to the Game Week 8 deadline stream. Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. Just need to make sure that the stream is set up well. Thank you for all of you who have come early. We are very much super early today. I think about 4 hours before the deadline, because I have to lock in my wildcard. And I'm not sure how many of you guys are on a wildcard as well, but I've been on a wildcard for pretty much the whole of the international break. And locking in the wildcard is what we're going to do in today's stream. Let me just get the stream link out on all the socials. Just give me a moment. All right. So let me know if you guys can hear me. And yes, we're gonna lock in our wildcards today. Thank you all for waiting for me to post on the socials. All right, so morning all of you guys. Let me just start with saying hi to some of you before I talk about my draft. Yes, there's 2 yellow flags in the draft currently, but I don't think I'm going to remove either of them. So I'll speak about that as we go along in today's stream. Let me just start with saying hi to Grain Bread Pastry, always number one. Henry as well, nice to see you. Alpine says, Bowen or Mateta, just can't decide. I think I prefer Bowen over Mateta. Toby says, love the starting music. I'm glad. We also just changed over the international break. I had some time to change the intro to the stream, the waiting screen. So I'm glad that now we are, I guess, up to date. We are fully up to date with all the things that I've needed to update since last season. All right, let me just adjust the mic a little bit. Okay, yeah, so talking about my draft, before I get to your questions, Pope and Dubravka is going to be the case. I mean, they've been my keepers for the whole of the international break. It's just a question of whether I start Dubravka ahead of Pope, which is something that I am thinking about. And then Timber and Gabriel also very much locked. This Diouf spot here is the one that I kind of went with only just yesterday, and it's because I wanted to fit Voltemada in, who obviously now has risen in price as well, so I managed to catch that price rise. But in general, if I want to go for a more expensive forward line with Bowen, Haaland, and Voltemada, that basically means that I have to go a little bit cheaper in Diouf. It's not the end of the world, because Diouf will in the end become Richards or Anderson, depending on which one I want to go for in game week 10. So it's pretty much a 2 game week punt. And then in midfield, it's pretty much the template midfield. But Enzo Fernandez, I think if you're on a wild card like myself, you will have him in the draft, because either way is longer term, especially now that Cole Palmer is going to be out for a longer period of time. You would have Enzo Fernandez in the draft regardless. And the good thing about Game Week 8 is that even if Enzo misses out, there's more than enough players on the bench for me to be happy to start instead of him. I do hope that we get some early team news on Chelsea, and that would help to decide whether I start Enzo or not. But either way, he is definitely going to be in the draft. I can choose to start Senesi in place of Enzo. I could start Caicedo as well, or even Rodon against Burnley. So that's the good thing about Game Week 8. But I do think that from Game Week 9 onwards, my prediction is that both of them would be fine, and they play Sunderland in Game Week 9. So that's when I intend to bench boost. I still want to leave that option open for myself. So for the time being, both Enzo and Caicedo still in the draft. Up front, I've gone for Bowen, Haaland, Voltemada. Bowen is a player that I am pretty keen on keeping in the draft, and likely for Game Week 8, he's going to be in here because I want a bit of a differential, and I think that him gambling on Bowen and kind of pitting him against João Pedro is what I am likely to do. I mean, I want to take this on as a bit of a risk to try and cover João Pedro with Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. And then Voltemada is just great. I mean, he's been in really good form. Scored over the international break as well. And I think the Newcastle attack is definitely one that I trust more than the Leeds attack. There's also been a lot of discourse on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who I think is fine as a pick, especially if people are bench boosting. But yeah, I decided to just go for the extra, spend a bit of money here and go for Voltemada. On the bench, then it's Dubravka, as I mentioned, Caicedo, Rodon, and Senesi. Plan for the team is to bench boost in game week 9. So after I made the team selection video, I mean, we needed to monitor any training pictures, etc. And what we know is that Enzo Fernandez did not train. But as I mentioned, I don't think it affects my decision of whether I want to keep him in my game week 8 wildcard or not. But for those of you who are not on a wildcard and you're transferring in, then I don't think that you would do it this week. I think you would probably wait until next week because it is a bit risky here, right? So I wouldn't spend a transfer, but if you're on a wildcard, I would have Enzo Fernandez. And for Caicedo, I'm a little bit less worried about him because he's had 2 full weeks off. And there are some, pictures from the day before yesterday where he was kind of, pictured in training, but Enzo Maresca comes out to say that he didn't train. I mean, I don't know how much we can trust Maresca, but I would be very surprised if Caicedo doesn't start. I wouldn't be very surprised if Enzo doesn't start because he didn't train, right? But Caicedo, I'm pretty sure he will. Right, so that's the team. And again, I've received lots of questions on social media, even among the members, asking me if Enzo and Caicedo are still in my draft. Yes, they are. And I would likely stick with this team. The only difference is if we get the early lineup for Chelsea, then I may not start Enzo. If Enzo doesn't start, I may put Caicedo in the starting 11 instead. Or I could either start Rodon or Senesi. It's still something I'm thinking about as we go towards closer to the deadline. And the final decision is also whether I want to start Dubravka ahead of Pope. So that's where I'm at currently. Let me know what you guys think. And we'll have a bit of a section to let you guys drop your drafts in the community chat as well, so that will happen soon. Right, let me have a look at your questions. Okay, so let me just get some water first. I hope you guys are doing well on a Saturday evening here, or Saturday afternoon here in Singapore where I'm at. For those of you who are tuning in, let me know where you guys are watching from. And yeah, thanks for joining me on a Saturday morning. For those of you guys, majority of you guys, Saturday morning, if not afternoon or evening. I'll also be doing a membership giveaway today because we hit 12,000 subscribers over the international break. So thank you all of you for helping us to hit 12,000 subscribers, and I will be giving out 10 memberships. I'll be gifting out 10 memberships today at the end of the stream. So hopefully you guys are still around by then to claim those memberships. All right. Maybe I should put a poll as well before we get to the questions. Do you think Enzo starts? Okay. Let me know what you guys think, whether Enzo starts or not. All right, I'll get to all your questions. Tovlin says, good morning, Leon. Good morning to you as well. Hope you had a great weekend. I did, man. I hope you have a great weekend. Last game week, I went with Semenyo as captain and it paid off amazingly. Back to Haaland captain now. Oh, that's incredible. Semenyo did really well last week. Insane. You must have ended on a really big green arrow. Well done. Dominique says, hey Leon, what do you think of this wildcard team? Dubravka, Timber, Chalobah, Enzo, Reinders, Salah, Sarr, Eze, Haaland and João Pedro. Bench is Liverpool keeper, Obi, Rodon in. if bench boost in game week 16, then I guess, yeah, I mean, having Obi is fine. I think having Salah and Haaland on your game week 8 wildcard is it's all right. It's just something that I didn't do because I prefer to have Saka in that spot. But I can see why some people still prefer to have Salah. And I've seen those drafts. I think my only concern with it is that it does leave you a little bit thin, and that's why, as I can see in your draft, you've gone for Obi as the third forward because you have to free up funds somewhere. And going for Obi pretty much means that you can't bench boost in game week 9, game week 11. You have to delay it all the way until you can upgrade Obi to a playing player. The only improvement I would say to this is you can go for a 4.4 Marshall from West Ham. There is a chance that he'll start, so we'll see, because Fulkrug is now out, ruled out for quite a while. So the previous game, Marshall came on and Callum Wilson didn't even come on. Marshall came on and got a decent chunk of minutes, so that's one thing you could do. Mandeep says, hey mate, I still have my wild card. Not sure if I should use it this week. My starting 11 is Sanchez, Esteve, Van de Ven, Timber, Senesi, Reinders, Saka, Semenyo, Haaland, Captain Watkins, and João Pedro. I don't think your team needs a wild card per se. Yeah, I think your team is actually fine for this week. One free transfer. Do you think it's worth transferring Timber in for Romero or Tarkowski or Roll? Timber in for Tarkowski is something that I don't mind for free. Yes. By the way, if you guys are watching or you just joined, please help me out and drop a like on the stream. That would be really, really helpful. Henry says, my wildcard is Pope, Senesi, Gabriel, Burn, Semenyo, Caicedo, Saka, Voltemata, Haaland, João Pedro. Well, it depends if you're bench boosting, Henry. If you're bench boosting, let me know, and then I'll assess accordingly. Femi says, what do you think about Bruno and Gyökeres, Saka, and Bowen / Voltemata? If yes, which one between Bowen and Voltemata? I think you give Gyökeres. I mean, okay, Bruno has Liverpool as well. If it's for free, I think I would lean towards doing it. And it'll be Saka and Voltemata for me. Would you play Senesi or Rodon? That's a great question. I'm also thinking about it myself. If Enzo misses out and if I don't want to start Caicedo, do I start Rodon or Senesi instead? Which I think I'm more likely to start Caicedo, but at least for the purpose of bench order, I also need to think whether I want to put Rodon ahead of Senesi or not. Just this morning, I put Rodon ahead of Senesi, even though before that it was Senesi ahead of Rodon. I just had this sneaky feeling that Leeds could do well against Burnley. I mean, it's definitely the easier fixture, and I also rate the Crystal Palace attack to at least get something against Senesi. I also have Ismail Assar, so I do want to kind of, make it such that if Sa gets a goal, then Senesi doesn't keep a clean sheet, then I can maximize my points by having him last on the bench and having another defender come in for him instead. So I am thinking about it. It's a good question. Right now, it's seriously a coin flip. Mandeep says, should I bench boost Dubravka, Mukiele, Rodon, and Giyu, or hold on to it to upgrade Giyu later? Cheers from Malaysia. Very, very nice. I think you hold on to it. I don't think you bench boost with Giyu on your bench. Ian, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Alpine says, Mateta also scored international break. Expected goal involvement of 0.7 versus Bowen's XGI of 0.19. I'm not sold on a new manager bounce. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Bowen is honestly a gamble. Bowen is definitely a pick on the wild card that I've gone for as a bit of a differential, because usually when I build wild card drafts, I try to have a player that is slightly different from the rest. What are your thoughts if I use 3 transfers? Gyökeres to Voltemata or Bowen, Bruno to Saka, Njai to Enzo. I think you could hold off on the Njai to Enzo move, But Gyökeres to Voltemada/Bowen and Bruno to Saka, I think that could work. So my preference would be Voltemada ahead of Bowen. Why is everyone ignoring Jaden Anthony? Well, he is currently flagged. We don't really know for certain if he will start, but I think he will. I mean, based off of what I'm reading. The only thing is, do I really rate Jaden Anthony as a pick? I honestly don't think he will able to keep up the rate of returns he's been getting. He's been overperforming quite a bit. FPL Diamond, thank you very much for the plug. He says like, share, subscribe, and support the quality channel. Thank you very, very much for that. If you haven't already, please do drop a like and please do subscribe. Hope marriage has been good. Thank you very much for that. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. FPL Stien says Esteval could be fun in the next week. What do you think? I think my only concern is just the minutes. Like if he starts to blank for a few games, will he? If he starts to blank for a few weeks, will he be consistent to start? Like I don't think so, right? I think there's just too many attackers right now in Chelsea. Okay. FPL Diamond says, please consider doing FPL Game Week reaction streams Saturday or Sunday evening. I am thinking about it, but usually at those times I am recording the video to release at that very same time, right? So for now I'm still doing videos. I mean, we'll see, but thanks for letting me know. What was the thinking behind going for Caicedo as your 12th man instead of a defender like Munoz? I mean, firstly, for Munoz, I want a bench boost in game week 9. So Munoz will have Arsenal. I don't think that's a player that I will include on my game week 8 wildcard. I think context is very important. So the fact that I'm bench boosting in game week 9 has also determined some of the picks that I've gone for that may differ from other wildcards that you see. And also, as my 12th man, I mean, in terms of Caicedo, Rodon, and Senesi, I'm the most comfortable starting Caicedo here. So I think, honestly, if I hear that Enzo misses out or doesn't start, I'll probably just put Caicedo in and go with that. Bruno to Saka or Senesi to Timber will be my third Arsenal. Then Bruno to Saka then. Akash says, hey bro, play 2 of Bruno, Gyökeres, and Stack. I still play Bruno and Gyökeres, unfortunately. But yes, I mean, that's the thing about Bruno, right? Bruno is a player that you will feel very uncomfortable benching, but yet you're also not super confident of his returns. And he's also missed a couple of penalties. So I probably will just start Bruno, Gyökeres, get rid of Bruno sooner rather than later. Yeah. Caicedo or Reinders, if you have either of those players in your team, I would start Reinders ahead of Caicedo. 24 likes. Thank you for all of you guys liking the stream. If you haven't done so, please do drop a like. Dan says, thoughts on Konate as a pick? Think they could start to improve defensively. I mean, the fixtures are actually not great for Liverpool defensively. Defensively, I don't think it's that great. So I don't really think Konate is a player that I'd be going for now. Bench Chalobah or Paqueta. I'll bench Paqueta. I start Chalobah. Iman says, I think Enzo will play. The poll has Enzo at 57%. Diamond has captain Isak and also on a bench boost. Very, very interesting. I hope it goes well for you, Diamond. Dr. Fess says, my team is similar to yours. Only difference is the Diouf position. I have 5.1 left there. Not yet decided, but thinking of bench boosting in game week 9. Lacroix, great long term, but bad fixture for game week 9. Exactly why I haven't gone for someone like Richards. Like, Diouf will soon become Richards in game week 10, right? Once I get the bench boost out of the way in game week 9, Richards comes in for Diouf. Matthew says, why is Senesi not playing? Senesi is playing. Are you asking me why he's not starting for my team? I have Ismail Assar, so I'm not super keen on having an attacker playing a defender. Sorich says Enzo doesn't have any practice photos from any of his sessions. Exactly that, which is why it is a bit of a worry. And I will be keeping a lookout for team news. I will be keeping a lookout for team news. Okay. Let me just have a look. Thank you very much for the super chat, Emre. Start Minte or Calvert-Lewin. Start Dubravka or Pope. I would start Calvert-Lewin ahead of Minte, and Dubravka or Pope is something I'm still thinking about. Right now, I think I'm about 55% Pope. I'm not super sold on starting Pope. I'll be honest. I think the thing with your dilemma is that if you start Calvert-Lewin, then I don't think you start Dubravka, because you'll be hoping that Calvert-Lewin scores, and if he scores, then Dubravka doesn't get a clean sheet. So in your spot, I'd probably start Calvert-Lewin and Pope. I think it's a little bit more of an easier decision there. But in isolation then, just Dubravka and Pope, I'm a bit stuck between that decision. Mahmoud says, start Senesi or Giyu, they play each other, or just start Van de Ven instead. I think you choose one. Senesi or Gehi, I probably will start Senesi, just about. João Pedro or Bowen. If you're buying one, I'm not so sure that João Pedro is a player that I will go out to transfer in this week. I'm not so sure I would say that. Reinders to stack Giyu to Voltemada. Reinders to stack Giyu to Voltemada. If it's for free, that could work. If it's for free, I think it's okay. Okay, I'm gonna head over to the community chat now, because we're receiving a couple of questions here. Let me just head over to the community chat. So a couple of questions. This one's first. So this is a wild card. Raya Munoz Gabriel, Rodon, Ismail Assar, Semenyo, Saka, Caicedo, Voltemada, Haaland, and João Pedro, Xhaka, Senesi, Anderson, Dubravka. I think this draft looks to me like a game week 11 bench boost, more like it. And yeah, I think majority of the picks you're going for are fine. You've chosen to go for Munoz instead of Timber as the second Arsenal defensive asset, and you've chosen to go for Munoz instead of Timber, and your second defender from Arsenal is Raya. So I think it works all right. It works all right for a bench boost in game week 11. Yeah, I think this team is pretty good. Not a wild card, but what do you think? I think you have to start Foden for sure. And Bruno Fernandes on the bench is... I probably would find some way to start. You could probably bench boost, Your bench boost is available. I think you could bench boost this team. On a -4 hit. I've seen the bench boost is active as well. Yeah, I think this team is pretty good. Good enough for a bench boost. I think it looks good. Michael says, what do you think? Should I take a -4 for an Arsenal defender or bring in a Chelsea player? Still have my wild card chip. I think defensively you're alright. You don't have to go out and get an Arsenal defender. I think more importantly, it's Mbeumo versus Liverpool. That it's a little bit of a less than ideal fixture. I would be tempted to do like Mbeumo to Eze, to be honest, because you have the potential, or you have the chance to go double attack instead of double defense. So it's just a transfer that I do think about when I'm in your position. Yep, seen this draft already. Let me just make sure. Final game week 8 wild card. Pope and Burn, so double Newcastle defense. I'm not so sure I'd be comfortable starting double Newcastle defense against Brighton though. I think you can have Burn on the bench and start either one of Rodon or Senesi to spread the risk a bit. The rest of the players are pretty much similar to mine. It's just that you have Calvert-Lewin here instead of Bowen, and that's alright as well. I think Calvert-Lewin is alright as a third forward as well. Okay, let me go back to the stream. Have a look at any of the questions that you guys have. How do you rate Eze over Timber as a differential alongside Gabriel and Saka on a wild card? So that's a great question. I think I just about prefer Timber over Eze for a couple of reasons. I think Timber, firstly, he's a defender, right? So, and I think the Arsenal defense is better than the Arsenal attack because consistency-wise, I'm more certain of Arsenal keeping a clean sheet than getting more attacking returns over the course of this good fixture run. So that's one. Secondly, Timber is very attacking. So you know that when defenders get a clean sheet and he gets attacking returns, it's very likely they get bonus as well. And there's the odd DEFCON for Timber if he does get more than 10 defensive contributions. So overall, I think Timber does have more routes to points than Eze. That's one. And I also prefer the defense over the attack. So I just about prefer Timber over Eze, but as I've mentioned in the screenshots just now, if you're in a position where you have one move that can easily get to Eze, I still don't mind it. As some form of triple Arsenal, I think would be enough to tide through the next few weeks, and I don't foresee that Eze versus Timber is going to be such a huge difference, and it's also very team specific, right? If you are more in need of a midfield transfer than a defensive transfer, then go for Eze instead of Timber. It's just that in isolation, when I compare these two picks, I prefer I prefer Timber just about. For now, to have 3 Newcastle players, is it good? I don't think 3 is necessary. I don't think 3 Newcastle players is necessary. Can you explain the hype around Enzo? I don't get it. Palmer is out, and now out for longer than we expected. He's out for 6 weeks more, and basically, Enzo Fernandez is going to play the attacking midfield role. He is potentially going to take penalties as well. He takes set pieces. I mean, lots of routes to points for Enzo Fernandez. So the fixtures are also very good, and he's nailed for 90 minutes whenever he starts. So that's the hype, I guess. I am very... I won't say surprised, but looking at the poll, I think there's a good 50% or 54% of you guys who think that Enzo starts. And I think that's the thing about the way that Maresca did the press conference, because I honestly don't know if you can trust him when he says that, Moises Caicedo, Pedro Neto, and also Enzo are doubts. I don't know how much truth there is to it, because Pedro Neto then came out to train after that, and also Moises Caicedo was actually pictured in a couple of training shots the day before as well. So I don't know if there's some form of, like what Arteta does, where he tries to get the media to gatekeep certain information, but that's it. I think there is a chance. I mean, at the back of my mind, I know there's a small chance that Enzo starts as well. So something in me still wants to start Enzo here, because if he does start, and I mean, everyone will be shocked by that, but if he does start, then he will be a huge differential, because now people are holding off their Enzo move and probably delaying it to next week. So I have Enzo as a bit of a differential, probably for 1 week. So we'll see. Maybe that's one of the benefits of wildcarding now as well, because for sure I'm having him in the team. Samyam says, should I bench boost with Caicedo and Alderete on the bench? The rest are Aurora and Dubravka. Alderete, I'm more sure that he'll start. Caicedo I'm more certain he'll start over Enzo, but because you're bench boosting, you have to be very, very certain. So I think you could wait for a couple of team leagues. Carlin says, hi Leon, good to see you back. Good to have you on stream as well. Thank you for tuning in. No team leagues yet. Yes, no team leagues. All the best with the wildcard. Thank you very much, Joel. Appreciate that. Any midfielders below 5.5 when I'm on a wildcard? Below 5.5, I think the options are a little bit thin. I don't think I go for Stack anymore. I don't think he's the best 5.0 million midfielder to own. Probably Xhaka, but do note that Xhaka does play Chelsea in game week 9, so that's not super ideal. But longer term, I think he's the 5.0 midfielder to go for. Planning to bench boost with Dubravka, Stack, Alderete, and Foster. Seems okay. Don't want to use a transfer to take Alderete out. I think Alderete is fine. And I think it's an okay bench boost as well. Start Rogers or Mbeumo. Probably Rogers, I guess. Should I bench boost with Elliot Anderson, Estef, Dubravka, and Van de Ven? I mean, it's a question of whether your future plans will get you to a better bench than that. I think objectively, they have decent enough fixtures, so you could do it. But can you get to a better bench than that moving forward? I think you probably can, right? Jarek says, favorite FPL YouTuber. Thank you very much, Jarek. I can get Timber or Saka in one move from Bruno or Senesi. Which one would you do? If eventually you're going to bring both of them in, then I would do the Saka move first, because this is the week that Bruno has Liverpool. If it's choosing between one, I would still choose the Saka option. So yeah, I do the Saka move. Bruno to Saka. Henry says, Burn or Chalobah? Choose one. Chalobah. Voltemada, Paqueta, Gordon. Who would you pick? Voltemada. Will we get Chelsea leaks before the deadline? My guess is we will. My guess is we will, because they are playing today. And they are the early kickoff as well. Playing today, and they are the early kickoff. So I do hope that we get some Chelsea leaks, but let's see. Play Mitchell or Senesi. Senesi for the DEFCON. Steve O says, good morning. My wildcard is the same as yours, but I am minus 0.8. If you are minus 0.8 short, the first place I'd take the money out of is Caicedo. I'd swap him out with Xhaka. Bruno out for Saka and downgrade Tarkowski to Rodon. Roll the one free transfer for next week since I don't have 3 Arsenal assets. Yes, I like all of those moves. Hey mate, on a wildcard, and as a pairing, do you prefer Munoz, Dewsbury Hall / Xhaka, or Minte and Richards? Munoz and Dewsbury Hall, or Xhaka and Minte and Richards? I think for this one, it depends when you are. I mean, Richards and Munoz are both from Crystal Palace. I would say Minte and Richards then. Yeah, Minte and Richards. Njai to Enzo. I think you probably hold off this week, because there's a bit of doubt. I mean, 57%, I'm looking at the poll, like, as you guys are voting, and 57% of you guys honestly think that he'll start, and and the Enzo Maresca is pretty much lying, I guess. Munoz and Eze or Gabriel and Enzo? Gabriel and Enzo for sure. Start Rodon or Anderson? I would start Rodon. Rodon or Senesi? I want to bench Burn. That's a very good question. I'm also thinking about that. I think for now, I just about prefer Rodon a little bit more to Senesi because of the fixture. Bowen or Voltemada, choose one. I would choose Voltemada. If we have Enzo, start him anyway, right? Either he starts or plays 0 minutes. I tend to think so as well. Best 4.0 million defender, if not Estev. Again, for 4.0 defenders, especially if you are bench boosting soon, it depends which week you are bench boosting and what fixture that 4.0 defender has. For my team, because I'm bench boosting in game week 9, then I go for Rodon, who has Burnley. In game week 9, he has West Ham. So you have to see which week you are bench boosting. If you're not, and if you're just choosing one, then I think you could honestly choose between any of the 4 popular ones. If it's not Estev, then it'll be Rodon, it would be Alderete, Mukele is fine as well. Todd says, I've got 3 free transfers, 0.9 in the bank, got Lacroix at the back, wondering to keep him or go for another cheaper Palace defender. I don't think there's a need to transfer him out now, unless you are making combination moves and need to free up the funds. Mark says, would you start Minte or Calvert-Lewin? I would start Calvert-Lewin. Start Anderson or Senesi? I would start Senesi. Anthony, any news still flagged? My guess is he'll start, but I think there is enough doubt for me to not recommend to transfer him in. Okay. Let me just head over to the community chat again. A couple more questions here. By the way, if you guys aren't in the community yet, feel free to scan the QR code that you see on screen or use the first link in the description and it'll get you into the chat. It's completely free. It's just another way for me to interact with you guys on a more I guess different level as compared to uploading a video, because I can't always upload a video, but I can always be present in the chat. So this one says Richarlison to ? If you are set on selling Richarlison, then I think you're looking at Bowen or Voltemada as options, honestly. Of which I prefer Voltemada. Doc says, this is the team: Vicario, Gehi, Pedro Porro, Virgil van Dijk, Kudu, Semenyo, Sa, Saka, Haaland, João Pedro, Gyökeres. I think this team is alright. I think you could even consider just about playing the bench boost. I would give it some form of thought, because you have Dubravka, Senesi, and Rodon with good fixtures. It's just a question of whether King is going to get a return, but even so, I think he'll start, right? So at least he gets the 2 points. You could bank on the other players doing well. I think bench boost is something you could consider. This one, I've answered this. Okay. If you have any questions, again, drop it in the... any screenshots that you have, drop it in the community chat. Right. Get some water. There's still a while to go though. I started streaming 4 hours before the deadline, which is usually I go 3 hours before the deadline, but now I feel like I have a lot of time. I did this because I'm on a wild card this week, so I want to kind of settle the. I did feel like there was more discussions to be had, especially with Enzo and Caicedo being flagged. So hopefully, closer to the deadline again, we get some news, but we'll see. Okay, I'll get to the questions in a bit. Just give me a while. Okay. Let me just check. Are you Singaporean? Yes, I am Singaporean. Goon says, thoughts on Gakpo? I feel like he's low-key slept on. I think you could go for Gakpo. I don't mind it. I think in terms of Liverpool attackers, if you don't want to go for Salah, the next ones is probably Isak or Gakpo already. Of which I think right now, in terms of consistency of starts, I just about prefer Gakpo to Isak. But I do think that over time, Isak will be, back in form. I mean, I back the quality that he has. Kudus and Bowen over Enzo and João Pedro on a wild card, too risky. Bowen over João Pedro is fine. Kudus over Enzo this particular week is also okay. But the reason why I've chosen to still go for Enzo is because I know long term I will still want him. And that's why I think if you're on a wild card, it's much easier to still have him in the team, because the bench firstly for this week looks great. So you don't have to worry too much. I mean, if he doesn't start, you start someone off your bench. Or you leave him in, and then if it's a case where you think he won't play at all, if he's not fit to start, then you can leave him in the starting 11 and your first bench option will just come in automatically. So that's one. Secondly, I think from game week 9 onwards, starting with Sunderland, the fixtures are also very good. And that's when I think he should be fine as well if you give him an extra week of rest. And yeah, I mean, longer term, Cole Palmer is out. So Enzo's still playing in that AM role. I think he's a great pick. To transfer in though, then it's a separate question. Start Richards or Van der Ven? Probably Richards, better for DEFCON. Akaza says, hey FPL consult, between Richarlison, Bruno and Estef, who should I start? Probably one of the attackers. So either Richarlison or Bruno, of which, I mean, I'm going to say it again, but I think if you have Bruno, you probably will start him. And that's the downside, I would say. I mean, I wouldn't be super comfortable benching a 8 to 9 million asset. Timber, Paqueta, Richards, Eze. Timber and Paqueta, that's my preference. Sell Fernandes or Grealish for Enzo. Play Fernandes, Semenyo, Kudus, Reinders, and roll. Sell Fernandes or Grealish for Enzo. Or play Fernandes, Semenyo, Kudus, Reinders, and roll. I think you could, if you're open to it, do Fernandes to, this is an outside shout, Fernandes to Gordon, and then play Gordon, Semenyo, Kudus, Reinders. Something you can think about. Or Fernandes to Eze, and then Semenyo, Kudus, and Reinders as your starting midfielders. Did you use the bench boost? Nope, I'm on a wild card this week. This is a wild card team. Philip said, Philip says, "So I've got Enzo and Alderete in my team, and I had a plan to bench boost. Would you still do it?" Probably not. I think Alderete is fine, but I think Enzo, there is some form of risk there. Even though I look at the poll again, and it's 60% of you guys who think that Enzo will start. I mean, I'm honestly on the fence. Honestly, on the fence. Would I be surprised that he starts? No, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be too surprised. But do I think he starts or not? I really am on the fence with this one. I really am on the fence. In a way, I'm happy that I'm on a wild card so that I don't have to think about this. But let's see if we get early team news. I mean, it's going to be huge. Like any Enzo news just before the deadline is going to be huge. Start Njai or Reinders. I would start Reinders. Would you take a -4 or a -8 for a bench boost? Maximum is a -4 for me. Who would you start between Reinders and Minte? I would start Reinders. Melvin says start Vanderven or Van Dijk, Virgil van Dijk or Senesi. I would say Van Dijk. I'd say Van Dijk. Right. By the way, for those of you who just joined the stream, we will be doing a membership giveaway today to thank all of you guys for helping the channel hit 12,000 subscribers. So we hit 12,000 subscribers over the international break. So I am honestly very thankful for all of you who have helped the channel come so far. And yeah, we'll continue to push on. But yeah, just wanted to share some memberships with you guys. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the perks. I'm just checking Twitter to see if there's any early news today. Just give me a while. I mean, we're super early, but usually I like to just have a look at Twitter already to see if there's any form of early team news. Which for now there isn't. So not to worry. If I see anything, I will let you guys know. I mean, I think something interesting that FPL Harry posted yesterday was that usually Enzo Fernandez posts a pre-game like Friday night kind of a post on I think Instagram if I'm not wrong, to kind of psych whoever's following him up. But same for Caicedo as well. But it seems like Caicedo has done it this week and Enzo didn't. So I don't know what that means. Does it mean that he starts or he doesn't? Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything at this point. If any of you guys are curious. Yeah, nothing much now. All right, so I'll continue to look at Twitter as we carry on the stream, but hopefully we get some news because this is gonna be huge. Another question. Would you bench boost with Dubravka, Minte, Senesi, and Anderson? I'm starting Alderete. Yes, I would. Start Minte or Senesi. I would start Minte ahead of Senesi. Thank you for the plug, Diamond, as always. If you guys haven't done so, please drop a like on the stream. I don't actually know how many likes we are on. Let me just have a look. If you haven't done so yet, please just help me out and drop a like. That would be incredible. We're on 41 likes. We're on 41 likes. Thank you all for that. If you haven't done so, please just drop a like on the stream. On a wild card, Rice and Chalaba or Minte and Gabriel. Don't necessarily like Rice as a pick. I love rice in general. I eat lots of rice, but I don't think as a pick I would go for Declan Rice. Chalaba is fine as a pick, but I still prefer Gabriel over Chalaba. So if Enzo is confirmed out, would you consider going Estevao or up to Gordon? No. No, if Enzo is out, I would still have him in my wildcard team because I would still think that for game week 9 he's fine. So that's only in my spot though because I'm on a wildcard. But if you're transferring in, then I don't think you transfer in Enzo. Since Solanke might be starting for Spurs more often now, should I go with selling Richarlison? I think just about for this week, Richarlison still starts. But yes, Solanke will probably take minutes and starts off of Richarlison. So you could look to move him off. Anyways, Spurs fixtures aren't looking very good from... Actually, to be fair, this week onwards already. So you could very well just... offload Richarlison if you wish to. I mean, Richarlison to Voltemada to Bowen, all good moves. Even João Pedro if you so wish to go there. When do you think Alisson will be back? Alisson will be back. My guess is either game week 9 or game week 10. Is Alderete going to start and play? He's on my bench boost and the only one yellow flagged. I think Alderete is fine. He was pictured in training. FPL Diamond says we love rice. It was a bad joke. It was a bad joke by me. I apologize. So again, still no news yet, which I mean, I don't expect that we'll get news to be honest, but yeah. On a wild card, should I keep Senesi or buy Timber instead? I have Gabriel too. On a wild card, I will have Timber and Gabriel exactly as how it is. I don't think I would go for Raya as the second defender from Arsenal. Second defensive asset from Arsenal. Okay, let me have a look at the community chat now. We've got a wildcard team there. How would you rate this wildcard team or make this wildcard team better? Looking to bench boost in game week 9. Change Burn, Kudus, and Bowen or leave it as it is. Looking to bench boost in game week 9. So bearing that in mind, it's very similar to mine. The only difference is Burn and Kudus. Of which I still have Enzo though, but if you prefer to go for Kudus, that's alright. I think then I like this draft, especially for bench boost 9. I like this draft. How would I make it better? I mean, sounds crazy, but I would still have Enzo here. I still have Enzo in here, but if you prefer to have Kudus over Enzo, then that's pretty much the only thing I'd say. The rest of the picks are fine. You could choose to go for Chalobah instead of Burn. I think that's something you could think about. But if not, I think the rest of the picks I don't have any issue with. I think it's good. I've somehow ended up with Saliba and Gyökeres. Who should be the next buy between Saka, Gabriel, and Timber? Wow, that is a decision. I think because you have Saliba already, you don't necessarily need a Gabriel. So I'd probably go Timber if it was your defensive asset. If you prefer to have an attacker, then Saka. But since you already have Gyökeres, I think I would prefer to have double defense in some form of a double defense setup. So then I would go for Timber. Yeah, just about. So we have quite a while to go today. So we'll see if any news comes in. Again, just as usual, scouring Twitter. Yep, no worries at all. Akash, do you really think Arsenal will keep clean sheets in the next two games? Fulham and Crystal Palace always score against them. I mean, whether or not they always score, I look at how they're playing right now. And defensively, are they the strongest team in the league? And do I want to double up on them? Yes. Longer term, even if you don't like the next two fixtures, beyond that, they still have great fixtures. So that's still my preference. We've got a wild card here in the chat, in the community chat. By the way, for those of you who aren't in the chat yet, all you have to do is scan the QR code or use the first link in the description. It'll get you in there for you to drop your drafts. This is a wild card, and thinking of bench boosting in game week 10 or 11. Right, so Pope and Dubravka is fine. Munoz, Rodon, Gabriel, Timber, and Anderson. Yeah, this looks more like a 10 or 11. The moment you have Fulham players, you probably will bench boost in game week 10 or 11. And that's because game week 8 and game week 9, Fulham don't have good fixtures. I mean, you look at this week, game week 8, Fulham already have Arsenal. So if you are bench boosting with Anderson, you probably are waiting to 10 or 11. In which case, I think the defense is fine. The goalkeepers are fine as well. Saka, Enzo, Sa, Semenyo, Minte is also alright. I think this team is pretty good. It's pretty good. The only consideration is, would you go for, in the shorter term now, right, to tide through your game week 8 and game week 9 fixture before you bench boost in game week 10 or 11, would you consider Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Because he does have good fixtures for 8 and 9. So do think about it. I mean, the good fixtures for Leeds actually carry on for about 2 to 3 more game weeks after game week 9. So it is something that you can consider. Yeah, this one is the same as well. So 200 votes that we have, and 61% of you guys think that Enzo will start. I mean, I honestly hope that we get some form of confirmation. Honestly. Again, nothing much on Twitter. I think a couple of like other news that is interesting that has come out this week as well is that Mark Gahey is not signing a new deal at Crystal Palace, which I mean we already know that that's the case, but at least it gives Crystal Palace more time to find another defender to replace Mark Gahey with. But at least he's leaving on a good note, right? He's pretty much leaving next year as a free agent, and not in the way that it was gonna be. I mean, I don't think the club did him that well, so I do think that him leaving is probably good. I mean, we definitely didn't see any pictures on Enzo Fernandez yesterday. So seriously, I think if he does start, I think Chelsea we have to like take what Enzo Maresca says moving forward with a pinch of salt if Enzo Fernandez does start. Also, I think I do want to share the plans for game week 10 and also game week 13, right? Before I go on to filming team selection, transfer plans videos for game week 9. But I thought I'd share it on stream first. So at least for game week 9, when I go into game week 9 now, it's Dubravka, Caicedo, Senesi, and Rodon on the bench. This is the week that I intend to bench boost. Yes, I do have Ismail Assar against Arsenal, so that's not super ideal. But in terms of a bench boost, I think I'm happy enough. My bench in terms of who actually would be on the bench this week is probably something like this. In which case, it still does look like a decent enough bench boost as well. Right, so game week 9, bench boost is the plan. Game week 10, this is when you see already one transfer has been made. I brought Richards in for Diouf, and this is when I can start Richards instead of Diouf, and then the rest of the team stays pretty much the same. And Senesi drops down to the bench because he has Man City, and Rodon has Brighton away. So that's for game week 10. Game week 11 and game week 12, I probably won't be making transfers. Game week 13, this is when I will have a good chunk of my transfers here. And it's basically to lead me to a team that will be able to take advantage of the fixtures from game week 13 onwards. So from game week 13, there are fixture swings for Liverpool, for Man City as well. And this is a week where Bournemouth also has Sunderland, right? So I want to capture at least a good chunk of the fixtures that start to look good from 13 onwards. And I think I'm able to do it with this kind of combinations. So double Liverpool, double Man City, double Arsenal, double Crystal Palace, and double Bournemouth. Actually, these are all the teams that are firing at this point. And then Pope is the keeper. So, I mean, some thoughts as well that I do think about is whether I want to go for Gakpo instead. And it's something that I'm keeping my options open to. Because if Isak is not the player that I prefer, then I could go for a cheaper player here and then upgrade something like Caicedo to Gakpo. So we'll see. And then I also have to factor in some plans to get Salah in if Salah pops off. So there's things that I do think about in terms of future planning, but I'm not locking in any of my moves as of yet. It's just a rough plan that by 13, if all goes to plan, I can actually get to something like this. So that for now is the plan for the next few game weeks, but we'll see. I mean, whenever you set plans, it's not as if they're gonna turn out exactly as how you want it to. So thoughts on Gyökeres. Gyökeres is just probably not a player that I would go with. If you have him in your draft now, I don't think you sell him as well. He's just pretty much a player that you would just hold on to. At least give him maybe 1 or 2 more weeks, I'd say. Can you rank the top 3 captains for this game week? I'd say I would put Haaland first, and then for me, Salah is next. Because Salah has an incredible record against Manchester United, and Manchester United are shambolic at the back. So I do think like it would be something like Haaland, Salah, and then Saka. That's likely how I do. One says, just tuned in. Thanks for coming down. I have Enzo and Anthony in my 11. Should I change them? I have 4 free transfers. Enzo is fine. If you have him in your team, I think you can hold on to. Anthony, Jaden Anthony, my prediction is that he'll start. My prediction is that he will be alright. Should I start Minte and bench Pope for Dubravka? I mean, starting Minte in and of itself is fine, right? Benching Pope for Dubravka is something I'm thinking about. And when I look at the odds as well, I mean, let me just pull up the 11FI odds. So I'm looking at clean sheet odds. Let me go over. Yeah. So looking at clean sheet odds, I mean for game week 8, if I sort by game week 8, I mean you look at Burnley, they're about 29%. Newcastle are 23% to keep a clean sheet against Brighton. I mean, Brighton are not an easy team to play against. Brighton are not easy. So I do think about whether I should be starting Dubravka ahead of Pope. It is something I think about. And when I compare Leeds and also Leeds and Bournemouth, that's where you see Leeds have 35% chance to keep a clean sheet here. So it's looking fantastic for Rodon. As compared to Senesi, who has 20%. Right, because he plays Crystal Palace. So again, that's mainly why in terms of my actual squad, that's actually why I have Rodon ahead of Senesi. But I also do think whether I should start Rodon ahead of Juve. Right, so really if Enzo Fernandez misses out, there's a few ways I could go. I could start Caicedo, I could start Rodon, I could even start Senesi. And that's the main reason why I'm not too fussed with the Enzo Fernandez injury. I mean, I just choose either one of the players on the bench to just start in place of him if we get news that he doesn't start, of course. But, I mean, sticking on the odds then, like when you look at the total for the next 6 game weeks, it really just spells like the teams that you need to target. Especially, I think, right, Chelsea here with really good clean sheet odds. So that's why players like Chalobah are coming up as options. And in terms of Chalobah versus Cucurella, I prefer Chalobah because he's better for DEFCON. The only thing is, I am more certain of Cucurella starting every game than I am of Chalobah starting every game. So it's a bit of a balance, I'd say. And then needless to say, Arsenal topping the clean sheet odds every week, or almost every week. And Man City, I mean, for Man City, the fixtures, honestly, from about game week 9 to 12 is not super ideal. I mean, you see 30% in game week 9. Game week 11, I think this is a week they're playing one of the stronger oppositions as well. Let me check which team it is. Game week 11, Man City will be playing Liverpool. Yes, exactly. So again, not a week that you expect Man City to keep a clean sheet. Then after that kind of a run, then it starts to look a bit better from game week 13. So honestly, 13 is the swing for Man City, for Liverpool as well. I mean, as early as game week 12, you can hop onto Liverpool already. The moment they finish the Man City game in game week 11. So teams to target, I would say. Okay, let me head over to the community chat because we're seeing a couple of questions here. Let me pull it up. final game week 8 wildcard. Not sure whether to choose Enzo as a starter, as I'm not sure from the news whether he'll be a starter or not. So I do think that for this case, Enzo Fernandez is probably either going to start or not feature at all. I'll be very surprised if he's fit and okay to play, yet he doesn't start. So it's a case of 0 or 90 minutes for me. So I think it's okay to start him, and it's about choosing who on the bench that you would rather come on first in place of him. So do think about that in terms of bench order. But if not, I think the rest of your team looks pretty similar to mine. Right? It's just that Burn and Calvert-Lewin are the two that you've chosen to go for. Saka and Burn or Eze and João Pedro. I'll probably take this. Is bench boost good? Any transfer suggestion? Only one free transfer. I mean, I do think that you can get a better bench than Njai against Man City and Anderson against Arsenal. I probably just about won't bench boost this, if I'm honest. I have seen this one already. Any changes in the Game Week 8 wildcard and bench boost Game Week 9? Who to bench this week? So this is a Game Week 8 wildcard team again. So pretty much same midfield and forward line as me. Goalkeepers are the same. The only difference is you've chosen not to go for double Arsenal defense, and you've chosen to take money out of Timber to go for, to afford the forward line. I think in terms of going for Chalobah, I think it works. Senesi, Rodon, Burn. I do think that this is one of the ways that you could fit in your forwards being slightly more expensive. But what I'm more inclined to do is just downgrade Caicedo to a 5.0 million midfielder and then upgrade one of your defenders. Probably I would choose Dan Burn, upgrade him to Timber so that you have double Arsenal defense. That is still what I would do as a preference. 0.5 in the bank. Any suggestions? For this week alone, I think the team looks all right. If you do have extra money in the bank, I think you have 0.5 in the bank, yeah. I would think about Eze if you can afford. Having some form of Arsenal, I would consider that. Njai against Man City is probably the weakest fixture that I see in here, so you could factor in a change for him with the money that you have in the bank. Should I start João Pedro instead of Caicedo? Scared he will blank again for the 4th time. I think you have to start João Pedro if you have transferred him in or he's currently in your team. You probably have to start João Pedro. He is the most likely to start out of Enzo, Caicedo, and João Pedro. Like out of those 3, João Pedro is the one most likely to start. Okay. 1 second. Ooh, sorry, the team went down a little bit. Okay. Good morning to some of you guys who have just joined. Thank you for coming down. We have started a little earlier this week. Ashwin says, wildcarded game week 6, Anthony Foster, Alderete for a game week 8 bench boost. All of them got flagged. Should I bench boost 3 free transfers? Maybe swap Foster for someone else and play the rest. I think Anthony is fine, and I think Alderete is fine. You could take Foster out. Maybe for Calvert-Lewin if you can afford. But the fact of the matter is that you have 3 free transfers, so you can actually improve your bench. But the downside of that is that you'll be spending transfers, making your bench good enough to bench boost, and then after that, you don't have much transfers to actually deal with your starting 11. So it's a bit of a trade-off. You will have to see which which is more worth it. In which case, I think if you can't get to a good bench boost this week, you could always save it for another week. That's pretty much why it's always a headache, right? To bench boost. And it's also why I want to quickly get it out of the way in game week 9. Thoughts on starting Bruno? I think it's not the worst thing in the world. Thoughts on wildcard team? Sanchez, Dubravka. So Sanchez is an interesting pick. Gabriel, Senesi, Richards, Anderson, Goodmanson, Saka, Gordon, Enzo, Kudus, Reinders. I think this is a great attack. So in terms of Goodmanson as well, you've chosen him over Rodon, which is fine. Anderson, Senesi, Richards, Gabriel, Dubravka, Sanchez. I think this team does look good. My only thing with it is that I would still prefer some form of Arsenal triple up. Because it looks as if you only have 2. And the thing with Sanchez also is that Enzo Maresca did allude to the fact that there will be some times that Jorgensen will be playing in the Premier League. So in the off chance that he does, at least you have Dubravka. But Sanchez is, I guess, not a keeper that everyone is going for now, even though Chelsea's fixtures are good, mainly because there's that looming fear of him not starting. Gabriel, Esteve, Senesi, Gehi, Cash. Which 3 should I play this week? So you definitely start Gabriel. Between Senesi and Gehi, I think you pick depending on whether you have Ismail Assar or not. If you don't have Ismail Assar, then probably you think that you can just start Senesi to kind of maximize the gains there. Between Esteve and Cash, I probably start Cash. Have an option to bring in Isak instead of Saka. Might be a cheeky differential. Already have Gabriel and Raya. Plan to add Timber on for triple Arsenal defense. Triple Arsenal defense is interesting. I mean, it is a bit risky if they don't keep a clean sheet, but I can see the appeal of going for Isak as a bit of an early differential. Pretty much most people will be bringing in Isak by the time game week 13 comes around. So you could go early. I don't mind it. And I do think he starts as well against Manchester United this week. I think that's an okay shout. Would you start Senesi or Chris Richards? I would start Senesi ahead of Richards. Best 4.0 million defender. Again, depends on whether you are bench boosting. And if you are, then which week would you want to use that 4.0 million defender? Make sure they have a good fixture. If not, the standard ones that stand out right now are Rodon, Goodmanson, Alderete, Mukele. All of them are decent options. Best 4.5 million midfielder probably is still King from Fulham. Senesi guaranteed blank. Why isn't anyone picking Saliba? Because there's Gabriel and Timber, and I rank them ahead of Saliba. Evening, FPL Shane, Voltemata or João Pedro on a wild card? I would say Voltemata. I mean, I have Voltemata. I'm betting against João Pedro actually. Should I start Richarlison or Iliman Njai? I would start Richarlison. GT says, I don't know, currently without Semenyo, if I only have one transfer, should I swap Bruno for Saka or Semenyo? I would do Bruno to Semenyo. I would bring in Semenyo in with the form that he's in. Bench Goodmanson or Munoz? I would bench Goodmanson. Can you review my wildcard team again because I don't have bench boost left? Sure, send it into the chat. Start Senesi or Lacroix. I would start Senesi over Lacroix. Pedro or Bowen on a wild card. I would bet against João Pedro, but it's up to your own preference because the forward picks are pretty much this week if you're on a wild card, that is. Voltemata, Bowen, Mateta, or Calvert-Lewin. I mean, it's among these 4 that people are swapping around. I've chosen to go for Bowen and Voltemata. You could try to fit João Pedro in here and remove either one of them. Paqueta, good. I mean, I think Paqueta has great fixtures. He has also lots of routes to points, DEFCON, set pieces, etc. But my only fear is that I already have Bowen, so I don't want to double up on the West Ham attack. I don't think it is necessary. So that's why I've chosen to go without Paqueta. I've chosen to go for Moises Caicedo instead. Will Sesko start? I think Sesko will start. When is another good time to wildcard? Game week 13. Best 5 million midfielder for me is Xhaka. Why is nobody picking Esteval? I don't think we can rely on him for starting every single week. That's why. Bargale says, can you check my team as you skipped it? Apologies. I'll have a look at it in a bit. I have both Reinders and Njai. Who should I bench? I think you should bench Njai and start Reinders instead. Diouf or Timber this week? I still prefer Timber, obviously. Play Reinders or Gyökeres as his form has dipped. I will still start Gyökeres. Okay, let's go over to the... Let's go over to the group chat. So for those of you guys who haven't joined it, just scan the QR code and drop your team in there. Which one did I miss? It could have been this one. Thinking Grealish to Saka. Yes, if you can afford that, for sure. For sure, Grealish to Saka. I think that's a good move. This is the one. So don't have... Hold on a minute. Don't have bench boost. Should I change anything? So it's this picture. No bench boost. Then... I think if you don't have the bench boost, this team is still alright. Because you can rotate Munoz with Anderson and Senesi. I think it's still alright, right? With or without bench boost. Let me just come over here. Sorry. Yeah, I missed this one just now. I would do Grealish Osaka if you can afford. This one says, should I start João Pedro instead of Caicedo? Yes, you should. That's what I would do. Thoughts on this bench boost? Senesi, Reinders. I like this bench boost. I think it's alright. But if you actually set your team properly, I probably have Reinders instead of Njai. In which case, you're having two Everton players on your bench and your bench boosting. In that sense, maybe not as keen of a bench boost like that. Reinders or Njai, I would start Reinders. Answered this one already. I would do that. Any suggestions? I'm assuming this is a Game Week 8 team without Wildcard. Let me know how many transfers and also how much in the bank that you have. Thoughts on this bench boost? Yeah, as I've mentioned just now. All right, just in case I missed anything out. Okay, so going back to the stream layout. So again, I think in terms of for those of you who just joined, my latest decisions is that I will still keep Enzo and Caicedo in my draft, regardless of them being yellow flagged. I think I will still have both of them. And if we do get news that Enzo doesn't start, I probably just put one of my bench players in the starting 11. Why is nobody picking Anthony Gordon? I think Gordon is a great pick. I think if I was trying to fit him in, what I could have done is put Anthony Gordon in, drop Voltemada down to a Calvert-Lewin. That would work as well. But if I do that, then who would I bench? I'd be in a bit of a benching headache. And I think at least just about. I prefer Voltemada over Gordon, just about. Bench boost, Senesi, Njai, Richards, and Dubravka. Yes, just about. If you have to double up, would you start Sa and Richards or Semenyo and Senesi? I would pick Bournemouth, so Semenyo and Senesi. What do you think of Gyökeres to Voltemada, Fernandes to Saka, Njai to Sa, and Van der Ven to Munoz with 4 free transfers, then bench boosting with Dubravka, Rodon, Anderson, and Reinders? I quite like this. I think those 4 free transfers are pretty good. The only thing is, because you're spending quite a few transfers, you kind of have to look forward as well and see if that kind of affects your team moving forward. Of course, you will have free transfers every week, but because you have 4 now, you can think about whether it is worth keeping some for future weeks. Is Richarlison starting? Want to remove him? Should I do it for a -4 given I need to remove Bruno to someone? Richarlison, for me, I think he'll still start this week ahead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But moving forward, I think he'll be more of a risk. So if you want to transfer him out this week, I think you could. Would I do it for a -4? If it's a combination move like yours, which is to remove Bruno as well, then I think just about. But I wouldn't go more than a -4. Timber/Sa versus Chalobah/Gordon. Which pair is better? I'll say Timber and Sa. Can I play Voltemata for Minte? Yes, I prefer Voltemata to Minte this week. Will you risk an Alderete bench boost? If I had Alderete in my team, yes, I would bench boost. I think Alderete is fine, so I'll risk it. Thoughts on bench boost team if I don't wildcard? Sanchez, Gabriel Van de Ven, Esteve, Saka, Bruno, Semenyo, Kudus, Haaland, João Pedro, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, subs Dubravka, Konza, Ekpedu, and Reinders. I don't think that's a bench boost team. Yeah, so I think you could think about whether you want to start Reinders ahead of Bruno maybe. But yeah, I don't think I'd bench boost that. I think you can get to better weeks where you have a better bench. Messi says Messi. I'm also on a wild card, but I have Munoz instead of Diouf and King instead of Caicedo and João Pedro instead of Bowen. Is this a good team? João Pedro instead of Bowen is fine. Munoz instead of Diouf is definitely an upgrade. King instead of Caicedo. It just depends whether you need to bench boost in future weeks. If you do, then do think about having King. That said, I do think that King is quite a stable starter, and also for a bench boost in maybe 10 or 11, it works well because Fulham do have good fixtures then. Why is everyone so confident in Enzo starting? I'm honestly not super confident, but I look at the votes. I mean, 315 people have voted, and 61% think that Enzo is starting. I mean, it's either Enzo Maresca is a very bad liar, or people have some form of inside information. I'm still scouring Twitter as I'm streaming to just see in case we get any news. Gehi or Senesi, who should I bench? I think you bench Gehi and start Senesi. Should I bench boost Elliot Anderson, the Crown, Munoz, and Dubravka? Yes, I think you would. Just about for that one. So I'm still scouring Twitter to just see if we get any news whatsoever. We need some form of leaks from... Yeah, nothing yet. But again, I will update you guys when there's anything at all. Okay, let me just head over here. There is a question. On a wildcard, bench boost has been used. Should I upgrade anyone with 1 mil in the bank? I think I immediately see something you can do, which is Minte up to Gordon and Cucurella down to someone like Chalobah. I think then you will be able to afford Minte to Gordon by replacing Cucurella with Chalobah, and then the rest is fine. So that's instantly what I see you can do. %61% who doesn't own Enzo voted that. That's a good one. That is a good one. Okay. Apologies for that. Let me have a look. Okay, let me get through some questions first. We'll be going for about another 15 to 20 minutes. So if you haven't got your questions in, do drop in your questions. We'll have a look at the community chat. Das, not to worry. I love fantasy football, says bench boost with Dubravka, Lacroix, Kudus, and Stack. Definitely, that one for sure. Vargalis says, I'm a Chelsea fan and I think Enzo is not starting, as he mentioned as well. Andre Santos is fit to start. I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan as well, and I do keep quite up to date with the news. And my own expectation is that I'm not super confident Enzo starts. I do think that he will start against Sunderland though, and that's why he's still in the team for my wild card. But at least for game week 8 alone, I mean, hopefully you get some leaks, but 61% is pretty insane, I have to say. I want to do a shorter term move for game week 8 and 9 because I'm wildcarding in 10. Which player should I pick? Can you pick anyone? For 8 or 9, I think you bank on West Ham's fixtures just for these 2 weeks. If not, then it'd be Chelsea players as well. But the fact of the matter is that Enzo is a bit of a risk this week. By the way, for those of you who are sticking around, I will be giving away channel memberships because we have just hit 12,000 subscribers over the international break. So just before I end the stream, I will be giving out 5 gifted memberships. So stick around for that one. And a massive thank you again to all of you to helping the channel hit 12,000 subscribers. Appreciate that. Eze and Cucurella or Gordon and Timber? Gordon and Timber. Richarlison or Njai? To start this week, probably Richarlison. Vanderven or Senesi? I would start Senesi ahead of Vanderven. I'll go to the community chat in a bit. What about swapping Chalobah / Enzo to Timber / Minte? Not super keen on that. Not super keen on that because I don't think I rate Minte as much as I do Enzo as a pick. Chalobah and Timber in and of themselves, I definitely prefer Timber. So if you can free up funds elsewhere, would love Timber long term, but cash needs to be freed up from somewhere. Okay, then if I have to choose between Chalobah and Enzo or Timber and Minte, I would choose, for this week alone, Timber and Minte, only because Enzo is a doubt. But further down the line, I think I will factor in a way to bring Enzo in. Mohammed says, double Arsenal defense plus Eze or triple defense? Double Arsenal defense plus Eze or triple defense? I think I would double up on the defense. I wouldn't triple up on it. Who would you start between Gakpo and Gravenberg? I would start Gakpo. Team is Raya, Senesi, Tarkowski, Gabriel, Reinders, Semenyo, Bruno, Njai, Gyökeres, Pedro, Haaland. What should I do? Potentially Bruno to Saka if you can afford. Thank you very much, Vargalis. Appreciate that. Alderete or Richards? I would start Richards ahead of Alderete this week. Best defenders to bring in? Arsenal defenders for sure. Awestruck says, I followed you and don't have the wildcard available. I used the wildcard on game week 4. What should I do now? I mean, as per usual, when you're making transfers, you have to probably target the fixtures that start to look good from now, which come in the form of Arsenal players, Chelsea players, etc. So, depends on who you are transferring. Siva says, you have Enzo and you want to bench boost. I think it is a bit risky, in my opinion. Best goalkeeper to bring in? For me, keepers-wise, it's Pope, Raya, and then Sanchez, in that order. Bruno to Rice/Saka/Sa and Y. Bruno to Saka, and I think the Saka pick speaks for itself. Caicedo starts. I think Caicedo will, but we don't have news yet. For Enzo, I'm not so sure. Okay, I'm gonna head over to the community chat because some of you guys have sent in your teams there. If you haven't done so and you want me to take a look, feel free to send it in. So, Abhishek, I've answered this one already. Any change in the starting 11 this week? So Dubravka, Timber, Gabriel, Chalobah. No change in the starting 11 as of now. And then if we get news that Enzo doesn't start, I think you pick one to go into your starting 11, which for me probably will be one of Rodon or Xhaka. Depends on your preference. But I do have a feeling that Leeds are quite high up the clean sheet odds as we saw just now. So I don't mind starting Rodon ahead of Enzo this week. So that's for this team. VJ, nice to see you in the chat. Welcome to the stream. We are ending in about 10 minutes though. So if you guys haven't dropped in your questions, feel free to drop them in. Munoz to Diouf and Senesi. I'm going to need more information there. Bench Romero or Calvert-Lewin. Bench Romero. Should I bench Bruce, Alderete, Goodmanson, Njai, and Dubravka? Yes, just about. Should I transfer out Watkins for Bowen? I would be tempted to. I would also think about Watkins to Voltemada as well. But yes, I'll definitely be tempted to because you free up so much money for moves elsewhere. Thank you for the plugs, VJ and Diamond. 76 likes. That's insane. Can we get to 100 today? Can we actually get to 100? Okay, if we can get to 100, if we can get to 100 likes, I'll give out 10 memberships today. If we can get to 100 likes, I'll do 10 memberships. I'll gift 10 memberships. So if you haven't already, there's about 123 of you guys. If you haven't done so, drop a like on the stream. When we get to 100, there's a good chance. I mean, considering there's about 100 of you guys here, 10 memberships, it's a 10% chance. Quick math, but 10% chance. Drop a like on the stream and hopefully we can get to 100. And yeah, let's give out 10 memberships. I think that'd be pretty cool. I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out. Salah to Eze, Foster to Isak, Charlison to Bowen, 3 free transfers. Want to keep Salah, but man, he's blocking me from such an awesome team. I'm not so sure that, I mean, it sounds like you're a Liverpool fan, but I'm not so sure you have to go for Isak now. So that probably would free up more money for you as well. But if you are trying to still have some form of a Liverpool asset, then I think those moves are alright. My only concern is I would also try to find a way to fit Saka in because he, for me, is the Arsenal attacker of choice right now. So I would probably not go for Isak, go for a cheaper forward, either Bowen or Voltemada. You have Bowen already, so maybe Voltemada, and then Salah to Saka. So you probably have end up with a team like Saka, Saka, Voltemada, and Bowen, which is pretty good. Lloyd says, would you consider Thiago from Brentford? Yes, but I don't rate him super highly as compared to the other picks. Njai to Sa/Enzo or roll. Njai to Sa is alright. Dave says, should I sell Watkins and to who? Mateta, Bowen, or João Pedro? It would be either Bowen or João Pedro for me among those three, but Voltemada should be in the mix as well. John says, is Raya Tarkowski stacked to Pope, Timber, Minte worth it? Yes, I would say yes. Why not Gordon over Voltemada? I have plans for future moves to get Alexander Isak in the team, and it's a little bit easier for me if I start with a Voltemada here. Right, if I go for Gordon instead of maybe Caicedo, I can't make those moves that I had planned already for game week 13. So I think it gives me greater flexibility in terms of options moving forward. But in terms of a like-for-like pick, I think Gordon being on penalties should definitely be considered. The only thing is, I think Voltemada is in quite insane form right now, so that's why I have him here. And obviously, if Gordon is off the pitch, then Voltemada takes pens, right? Exact same team. I have João Pedro for Bowen. Yeah, I mean, are you on a wildcard as well, my man? If you had to choose between Burn and Chalobah in this wildcard for Game Week 8, who would you choose? But now you have 2 Chelsea and 2 Newcastle players in your team. Yeah, I mean, between Burn and Chalobah, I would say Chalobah. And it's for a couple of reasons. The Newcastle defense, right? Livramento as well as Lewis Hall are going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. That only means that Dan Burn and Kieran Trippier, who are way above 30 now, are going to be playing for a very long stretch of time as fullbacks. And I'm not sure that they're going to be able to keep up the defensive performance. So having Pope for me is enough. And then I will think about going elsewhere instead of Pope plus Burn already. So for me, I wouldn't go for Burn. I would go for Chalobah instead. Donnarumma on a wildcard over Pope. I don't think it's worth the money. Is it worth doing Van der Ven to Munoz this week? Yes or no? Van der Ven to Munoz this week. I mean, you could, but it's not something that you really have to. That's what I'd say. 3 more likes. Are we at 3 more likes? We are at 100 subscribers. We are at 100 likes. Thank you all so much for helping the stream hit 100 likes. I appreciate that. No idea why I said 100 subscribers, but so thank you very much for helping the stream hit 100 likes. And as promised, I will be giving out 10 memberships. So we'll do it very quickly in a bit. But again, just as a bit of a plug, if you haven't done so already, please help me out and hit the subscribe button. We have recently hit 12,000 subscribers. So again, thank you very much. And yeah, onwards to greater heights on the channel. Swapped out Salah, which funded Saka and brought in Gabriel as well. Yeah, I think those are good moves. Okay. So this is how it's gonna work. I'm gonna give out the memberships now. I do think that I mean, I don't know how it works, but the past few times that I have given out memberships, like people who send more messages in that current chat seem to be getting higher chances. So I'm going to give you guys a while to like just spam in the chat if you guys want the memberships. Just spam in the chat for a short period of time, okay? And then we will start the giveaway. I'll give you guys some time to do that. But I can't choose who YouTube gives the memberships to. It's completely by I think algorithm or something. But yeah, I mean just spam in the chat like an emoji or like a like just say something in the chat and that might give you better chances. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. Yes. I'll give you guys a while to just spam. Let's go, let's go. Lots of let's goes. W's in the chat. Very nice. If you're just joining the stream and you're thinking why people are fully like spamming in the chat, is because I'm gonna give away 10 memberships, and I think it's the algo gives the memberships to people who send more messages to the chat. So yeah, just spam in the chat. But as you're doing it, thank you very, very much for all the support. Okay, so this is so funny. Okay, we're gonna call it off in about a minute. I'll let you guys do it for another minute or so. Let the algorithm gods be in your favor. All right, so and I think there's a bit of a lag as well. So as I say this, please cut the spamming right now so that I can announce the memberships. Okay, ready? So I'm gonna give away the memberships now. I don't know when you guys are gonna stop spamming, but we'll see. We will see. Okay, here we go, guys. Here we go. Membership gifting. Okay, I'm gonna give away this first chunk of 5 memberships. All right, so hopefully those of you who are spamming in the chat will get it. So the first 5 is going out now. Let's see who gets it. All right, so Schroeder, Vargalis, Sorich, Archer. Very, very nice. Congratulations to all of you who have gotten it. Congratulations. Congratulations to those of you. VJ as well, who received the gifted membership. Insane. All right, congrats to all of you guys who got it. All right, so if you want the next set of 5 memberships, again, spam in the chat. Probably gives you a higher chance of getting it. Congratulations, Vargalis. You must be a happy man. Sorovich as well. Awesome, awesome. Awesome stuff. Okay, get ready for the next set of memberships, all right? Diamond saying is rigged. I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea how they gift out the memberships, but here we go. Another set of 5 memberships on the way. Let's see who gets it. All right. Alimac, Peter, Sender, Kanekan, and also Frozone's Lost Super Suit. So congratulations to all of you who have gotten your memberships. Yeah, I mean, W is in the chat. All of you guys, thank you for just supporting the channel so much and just being a part of this whole experience. I really enjoy, right, what I do. It is, of course, still something I do at the side. I do have a day job to juggle as well, so I really appreciate all of the support that you guys have given the channel. And just a note for those of you who have received the memberships, what I suggest is, in order to get the perks, you will have to head over to the channel page, so FPL Consult YouTube page, and then click on the membership tab. I mean, there's home, videos, shorts, etc. So click on the membership tab, and that's where you will find the link to join the private group chat for all the members. So that's where all the membership perks are. Obviously, if you haven't received the memberships, don't worry, I'll be gifting out more as well as we go along in the season. But if you wish to enjoy the perks as well, you can check it out for yourselves. You can click the join button next to the subscribe button. And yeah, that supports the channel, obviously. So thank you all for coming down. I appreciate it. And I will wish you all the best for Game Week 8. The wild card for me is pretty much locked in, and again, as I've said, Enzo and Caicedo probably still in the draft for me. More a question of whether I start Enzo or Caicedo or Rodon or Senesi. I'll wait for news, and I'll again post my team on the socials as always, in the Telegram chats as well. So if you haven't joined the group chat, the QR is there. You can join it very quickly. And yes, I'll leave it at that. Thank you again for joining me on this kind of 2-hour stream that we've done, and all the best for Game Week 8. I will see you guys in Game Week 9 content. FPL is back, and I hope green arrows are coming for you guys. See you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.